All right, how we doing, Bridge? Thank you, Doug. That music reminds me of Home Alone. Anybody here watching Home Alone now?
Oh yeah, all year, baby.
Yeah, my wife is addicted. She's doctrinating our children. Quick poll. Raise your hand if you're a Home Alone 1 fan. Ooh. All right, Home Alone 2? All right, we're the minority, but Home Alone 2, I think it takes it. And then one other confession, I'm gonna say heresy this morning. I just got everyone's attention. Turkey at Thanksgiving, completely overrated. Give me ham or steak. Anybody agree? Yes. I don't know why that is, but anyways, all right. Hey, I got a thesis for you this morning. I am going to sum up the sermon right away. We'll put up this graphic. Here's my thesis for you this morning. Distraction leads to a lack of wonder, which will lead to a lack of faith. Distractions lead to a lack of wonder, which lead to a lack of faith. I want to unpack that now for the next 2 hours. September 2016, Andrew Sullivan published a very, very well-known article. If you're a reader, you'll see this in the footnotes quite a bit. It's called, "I Used to Be a Human Being." And he talks about, I don't know if he coined this phrase or not, but the phrase that he uses is distraction sickness. Distraction sickness. And he writes this, we'll put this up on the screen. "If the churches came to understand that the greatest threat to faith today is not hedonism, but distraction, perhaps they might begin to appeal anew to a frazzled digital generation. There are books to be read, landscapes to be walked, friends to be with, life to be fully lived, and this new epidemic of distraction is our civilization's specific weakness." How's that for insight? "And its threat is not so much to our minds, even as they shape-shift under the pressure. The threat is to our souls. At this rate, if the noise does not relent, we might even forget we have any." You and I, we were made to be in awe and wonder. But what if we've lost our ability to wonder because of the countless distractions that we are swimming in and not even aware of? We are like fish in water. Our water is distraction. The ability just to ponder, to imagine with curiosity, to find ourselves in amazement in simple, everyday, ordinary moments. And I think that instead of wondering, we are wandering away from faith. Instead of wondering, we are wandering away from faith. Put otherwise, I think, if you don't wonder, you will wander away from faith. Distraction leads to a lack of wonder, which leads to a lack of faith. This morning, we start our annual 4-week Christmas sermon series. If you come from a more traditional background, you'll know this as Advent, which is just Latin for the word coming or arrival, the first coming of Jesus, then helps us anticipate his second. And I wanted to take a little bit of a different spin this year. It's very hard for preachers for Christmas because you have to preach on like the same 4 chapters in the Bible. And if you do it for a couple years after that, it's like, ooh, what do I say? And so this morning, this morning as well as this series, what I wanted to do is this. I want us to look at the Christmas story, but through the eyes of the main characters in the story. Meaning this. What was going through their mind? What were the questions they were asking literally as Jesus' birth is happening? What were they questioning? What were they imagining? What were they dreaming? What was it like for them 2,000 years ago in the Middle East? And then of course, what does that mean for us today? And so for week one of the series, each week we're going to look at a specific character. I was always taught to let ladies go first, and so we'll let Mary be the first one for this morning. And so we're going to look at the story of Jesus' birth through the eyes of Mary. Mary, of course, the mother of Jesus. And so if you have a Bible, turn with me to Luke chapter 1. And if you need a Bible, old school here, we love flipping through the physical pages, at least I do. And so if you need one, you can take this home, count it an early Christmas gift. I'll be reading from page 698. Luke is one of two biographies of Jesus that give us the story of his birth. Not all of them do, but Luke and Matthew do. And so we're going to be in Luke this morning. I have a suspicion that perhaps next Sunday we're in Matthew. And the reason why we're in Luke this morning is that Luke gives us the story through the eyes of Mary. And so here's what we read, Luke chapter 1, and we will start at verse 26. In the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, God sent the angel Gabriel to Nazareth, a town in Galilee, to a virgin pledged to be married to a man named Joseph, a descendant of David, and the virgin's name was Mary. The angel went to her and said, "Greetings, you who are highly favored. The Lord is with you." And Mary, and notice this, she was greatly troubled at his words and wondered what kind of greeting this might be. But the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God, and you will conceive and you'll give birth to a son, and you are to call him Jesus. He will be great, and he'll be called the Son of the Most High. And the Lord God will give him the throne over his father David, and he will reign over Jacob's descendants forever. His kingdom will never end." And again, notice her response. "How will this be?" Mary asked the angel, "since I'm a virgin." The angel answered her, "The Holy Spirit will come on you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. And so the Holy One to be born will be called the Son of God. Even Elizabeth, your relative, is going to have a child in her old age, and she who was said to be unable to conceive is in her 6th month. For no word from God will ever fail." And now her response. "I am the Lord's servant," Mary answered. "May your word to me be fulfilled." And then the angel left her. I need to erase all of your sentimental snowflake, Hallmark, Hollywood Christmas cultural understandings now. I'm so sorry, but I'm not sorry at all. Verses 26 through 27. So God sends an angel named Gabriel to Nazareth, which is a town in Galilee, of course, to the Virgin Mary. Here's what you need to know. Nazareth was in the least desirable area of Caesar's empire, that is the region of Judea. Put simply, Nazareth, it was kind of like the ghetto, the backwater town, if you will. Nobody respected Nazareth. Not that they had Apple Maps or Google Maps, but if you put Nazareth in, it wouldn't come up, or you'd have to really zoom in to find it. And that's because nobody cared about it. Nobody went to it. This is also why Nathanael, later on in the biography of Jesus, he's a disciple of Jesus, and he literally says, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" He's kind of talking trash on the city. And yet, this is the opening scene of the Christmas story in the ghetto. Now, the Virgin Mary. Mary, again, to crush all Hallmark movies, Mary would have been a poor, illiterate, unimportant Jewish peasant teenage girl in the whack city of Nazareth. Mary would have been living an ordinary life in an ordinary town with very unassuming dreams. Pastor and author Kent Hughes, I love how he describes what would have been the expected likely version of Mary's future if this angel hadn't come to her, and he put it this way. From all indicators, her life would not be extraordinary. She would marry humbly, give birth to numerous poor children, never travel farther than a few miles from her home, and one day die like thousands of others before her, a nobody in a nothing town in the middle of nowhere. But it is precisely this Mary who receives the announcement of the Christ child, and not only that, but she is chosen and told that she is literally going to bear God's son. Now, with that in mind, do you notice how she responds to this angelic announcement? Verse 29. Mary was what? Greatly troubled at his words and wondered what kind of greeting this might be. So Mary doesn't ignore or shrug off this angel. She's not distracted. She's not overoccupied. She's fully present. But at the same time, it's also not like Mary has blind faith and just says, oh yes, here's an angel talking to me. That's super normal. I expected this. Angels talk all the time to me. Mary doesn't do that either. It says she was greatly troubled at his words and wondered, what kind of greeting is this? Wondered. The Greek word there that we translate in English as wondered, it's actually an accounting word. It means to take an audit. To add things up, if you will, she's weighing this vision, she's pondering it, she's taking the time to stop, meditate, reflect, contemplate, and take an audit of what is going on right now. See, sometimes we think, at least I do, we think that like the ancient people and the people in the Bible, they didn't know things. We're so much smarter now. We're sophisticated, we have technology. Oh, we just know that now miracles don't happen today. A virgin birth? Come on, that doesn't happen. Oh, they were just so gullible. Do you guys know that the word gullible is not in the dictionary? There's some people in the 9 I'm like, oh wow. Yeah, you just fell for it. You're gullible. Mary's not gullible. And if that went over your head, it's okay. We do have a prayer team here afterwards. Mary's not gullible. And I think this is worth pointing out. You know that Mary does not automatically believe this miracle. Now, it also needs to be said she doesn't dismiss it. Mary actually expresses doubt. You know, there's doubt in the Bible. Doubt is okay. Some people have grown up in the church and they've been told that doubt is bad and you're not allowed to doubt. No, there's doubt in the Bible, and I think Mary has some right here, but what needs to be nuanced is what we mean by doubt. See, there are two types of doubt. There is doubt with a closed mind, and then there is doubt with an open mind that is wanting to seek and pursue answers even though they don't have them right now. Yeah. The latter type of doubt is the type of doubt that Mary has in this situation. And so what she does is she takes the time to stop, to ponder, to meditate, to take an audit there over this absurd thing. And what is the absurd thing? A, that an angel appears to her, and B, then that he tells her that she's pregnant. And not just pregnant, but, oh, by the way, you're giving birth to God's son. Now, as modern people, as modern Christians, I think it's okay. We find that weird. Like, that's hard to believe. I mean, even the angel thing's hard to believe, but again, whoa, the virgin birth. So when we talk about this story, the virgin birth, I mean, it is the most weird, absurd, and hardest thing to believe in the Christmas story. We can't explain it. I can't. If someone says that they can't explain the virgin birth, I'm actually a little skeptical of that person. A.J. Sherrill, he's got a brand new book out called Rediscovering Christmas, and he writes this. I think this is helpful for us. As weird as the claim of the virgin birth may sound to our post-Enlightenment ears, that's meaning kind of since technology has taken over. Let's not forget that much of what society believes to be self-evident is also absurd, yet true. Quirks, astonishing. Earth's precise conditions for life, incredible. Gravity, weird. Dark matter, bewildering. Light as both waves and particles, baffling. Quantum entanglement, bizarre. And if you don't, he's just talking about scientific things. He says, if science and television purports that these weird mysteries in our universe or multiverse or whatever verse we are in, if those are realities, we should also consider the greatest mystery of all. An angel long ago hovering over a poor young woman in a forgettable town, pronouncing God's love for the world. This love is then evidenced by a divine seed planted within Mary's womb. Does it still say tomb? Yeah. But I caught that and I read, I'm like, Mary's tomb. Okay, no, Mary's womb. Life is weird and absurd. Gravity, think about it. Gravity's weird. Like when we say, just explain gravity. It's weird. Explain string theory to me. Explain dark matter to me, if you know what that is. Try wrapping your mind around that light is both waves and particles at the same time. What? Yeah, life is weird. It's absurd. But those are things that are absolutely seen as facts in the scientific community. Mary isn't dumb. She's not gullible. She knows of all people that she hasn't had sex with Joseph or any other guy. But here's the deal. She's not cynical or distracted and narrow-minded to not stop and take the time to say, let me take an audit of that. To ponder, reflect, to open herself up to awe and wonder. You see, Mary allowed herself to ask questions and live in the possibility of awe and wonder and what we call miracles. And maybe that's the point. That she was able just to be in awe and wonder. Scott Erickson, he writes this in his Christmas book, Honest Advent. Throughout our lives, we will encounter paradox. Two seemingly contradictory truths existing in the same space and time. And at the heart of the Christ story is a mystery. The paradox is Jesus being fully God and fully human, two seemingly contradictory truths existing in the same space and time, yet that mystery was birthed out of another paradoxical mystery. One where the finite and infinite wove together salvation in the belly of a Middle Eastern young woman. This part of the Christmas tradition will remain a mystery and may never be fully explained, and that is okay. Oh, and listen to this. Because the function of a paradox is to not find the solution to seemingly opposing truths, but to be transformed by living in the middle mystery of them. Let me reread that. The function of a paradox is not to find the solution to seemingly opposing truths, meaning trying to resolve it, figure it out, but to be transformed by living in the middle mystery of them. The point of a paradox is just to be in it. What if you and I were made to be in awe and wonder, and that is the point, meaning the point of awe and wonder isn't to solve it, to rationalize it, to become a philosopher. The point of awe and wonder is just to be in awe and wonder. Meaning awe and wonder does something to you, or should I say that awe and wonder does something in you? You see that? What if you and I have become such anxious, burdened, stressed, closed-minded, robotic, digitally saturated, and distracted people that we have begun to lose our souls? Come on, right here. That's my people. We've lost the ability to be in awe and wonder. And I think our souls are taking the cost. Remember just being amazed? To live in mystery, to respond like Mary did in verse 29. Mary was greatly troubled at his words. So Mary's not anti-intellectual. Doubt is okay. She is troubled at the angel's words, but here it is. And she wondered, what kind of greeting is this? This is who Mary is. I just realized this right now. Mary's Wonder Woman. 9 a.m. did not get that. Mary's Wonder Woman. Because she makes room for awe and wonder in her life in everyday moments. And here's the deal. It isn't a one-time occurrence. It's not just right here in Luke 1. Turn the page. Let's go to Luke chapter 2. Go to verse 15. So what's happened is you got the famous story. The angels come down, they visit the shepherds, they sing. We pick it up now at verse 15. When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, let's go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about. Verse 16, so they hurried off. And by the way, what a description of 21st century life. And they hurried off. And they found Mary and Joseph and the baby who was lying in the manger. When they had seen him, they spread the word concerning what had been told them about this child. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds said to them. Here it is, verse 19. But Mary, treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart. If there was ever a hectic scene, this is it. Shepherds, eager, exhilarating, running on all cylinders. It says that they rushed off. They hurried off to go see this baby boy. And they get there and they're ready to talk about all this news. They're running on all cylinders. And they get there and they find Mary and Joseph calm. Baby boy Jesus lying in the manger. And I love the response given to the shepherd's good news. Let me read it again, verses 18 through 19. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherd said to them. But Mary treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart. Do you see the perspective that Mary is taking on in the Christmas scene? It is in direct contrast to everything going on around her, and the shepherds hurried off, but Mary treasured and pondered all these things. It's not like Mary takes out her iPhone. Let me take some pictures of this. She'd take a step further, be really embarrassing and whip out the selfie stick. Let me take a picture with my son, who's God, by the way. My baby's prettier than me. If there's one mom who could have said, my baby's prettier than me, it would have been Mary. I mean, can you imagine? You talk about insecurity for mother. If your other moms around Mary, anyways, that's a tangent. That'd be a really interesting sermon to go with. Maybe I'll do that Christmas Eve. Anyways, it wasn't like she tweeted what the shepherds, let me get out. Okay, Shepherd Joe, he's saying this. No, she doesn't do that. It's almost like she takes a step back. And I get a sense that it's almost like she steps back, kind of like you do or you should do at your wedding, and you take a couple deep breaths. And she's calm. And she's quiet. And she takes in the scene. She does an audit. She's pondering, meditating, contemplating. She's putting the pieces together in her mind, her soul. And it's in that moment that Mary isn't distracted, but she's quietly reflecting in awe and wonder. What can we learn from Mary? Could it be that our modern world is full of distraction and we've lost the ability to be full of awe and wonder, which has led to a decline in faith? You read any statistic, this is all the stuff that pastors look at. It is proven statistically that Christianity is declining in America. That's just statistically true. I don't find it coincidental that as faith is decreasing, distraction is increasing. I think there's an indirect connection there. the more distraction you have, the lack of wonder and awe you have, which leads to a lack of faith. We have lost the ability to believe or to become aware of or recognize God's presence right in our everyday, ordinary lives. God's miraculous presence, which is actually right in front of us, is drowned out by the noise right beside us. We are so caught up in going, doing, that we have become disenchanted and lost faith. In his book, The Characters of Christmas, which is our resource book that we have in the back of the table, I don't know if it's still available or not, Daniel Darling, he writes this. Here's an excerpt from that book. The world of the first century was pretty cynical. I find our world to be cynical today. False messiahs had come and gone. The promise of Israel's restoration seemed more like a pipe dream, and yet here were people still willing to be awed. There is something wonderful about the ability to still be awed by God. Today's world is just as jaded as the world of the first century. It's easy to treat our religious traditions, especially Christmas, as a sort of ho-hum affair. But come on, God visits those who are willing to fear and to awe, to wonder and to meditate. Have we stopped what we are doing long enough to see what God is doing around us? Have we sufficiently unplugged from the digital distraction that kept our minds moving but have numbed us to the supernatural? Are you willing to step back and marvel at the powerful mystery of the incarnation of Jesus Christ? How's that? You know what's crazy? In our so-called secular, closed-minded, miraculously skeptical culture, they are now recognizing the scientific benefits of awe and wonder. And I really do mean this. Just go to Google, go to Amazon Books. There's actually a really popular book that came out, I think 6-7 years ago by a professor at University of California, Berkeley, literally on the scientific benefits of being in awe and wonder. That's not even a church thing. This is coming from people who are actually skeptical of the miraculous. I'll never forget, just right after COVID, this is about 3 years ago, a year after COVID, there was an article that came out, because I read the Harvard Business Review every morning. No, I don't. There was an article that came out in the Harvard Business Review titled, check this out, Why You Need to Protect Your Sense of Wonder, Especially Now. Harvard Business Review. That was the title. Here's how they began the article. We may be slowly returning to our offices, remember this is a year after COVID, more or less, but the strains of the pandemic are hardly over. As we enter a transitional stage after a year of trauma and strain, more than ever we need ways to refresh our energies, calm our anxieties, and nurse our well-being. And one potentially powerful intervention is rarely talked about, the cultivation of experiences of awe. What is awe? It sounds like a dumb question, but awe is when you're in reverence or admiration of something. It's when you realize that you're a part of something much bigger than your small self, what philosophers call transcendence. This article from the Harvard Business Review, they go on to list the benefits of awe and wonder to your body. Here they are: reducing stress, higher overall life satisfaction and well-being, a decrease in mental chatter, increasing creativity and innovation, facilitating scientific thinking and ethical decision-making, helps you build relationships, and inspires generosity and compassion. So here, a secular, non-Christian, super academic group from Harvard saying that you should be practicing awe and wonder because your body benefits from it. I think Mary she was ahead of the curve. Wonder Woman. 3 weeks ago, I go up to the mountains, Forest Home, if you've ever been there, and I was speaking for a men's retreat. Oddly enough, a church called The Bridge, not this bridge, but a bridge from Bakersfield. So speaking to a bunch of guys over there, I do 4 messages in like 36 hours or something like that. It was insane. If you've done speaking before, you're drained after one. So I did 4 in like less than a day and a half. And I'll just be honest with you, I was driving up, kind of like Big Bear, and I'm driving up there and I just felt very robotic. You ever feel like you're just kind of going through the motions in life? Maybe to go deeper, I was actually very discouraged. I'd become jaded and cynical about certain spheres of my life. I felt flat, felt exhausting. And so there I am. I go up there to be the speaker, to minister to 100 guys. And I do that, and it went great. Honestly, had a great time. God did amazing things. I forgot to say this at the 9 a.m. Guys, I literally saw a dude get healed up there. I forget the disease that he had. Parkinson's. I saw a dude got healed of Parkinson's 3 weeks ago. Insane. Talk about being in awe and wonder. I'm up there, I'm exhausted, flat, going through the motions. I'm actually doubting myself. Just like, what? Is what I'm doing and saying worth it? What's my purpose? I'm asking like those kind of deeper questions of life in my mind. Couldn't tell from the outside, but this is inner emotionally what I'm thinking. So I talked Friday night, talked Saturday morning. I had a break time between Saturday morning and Saturday night. So I'm like, you know what? I've heard stories that there's like this awesome, secluded, really small chapel that you kind of have to take a hike up to. Rumor had it it wasn't a rumor, it's true. Billy Graham led a revival there. And so I'm like, you know what? I need to go to this chapel by myself, just gonna have my Bible, and I'm just gonna spend some time in awe and wonder. We'll put up a picture of the chapel just so you get a visual of it. So this is the chapel I go to, high up in the mountains, very small. Next picture. This is how small it is. So you're talking like 4.5 rows. At most, maybe 25 people could fit in there. I stay there for like an hour and a half, just me. Put my phone down after I took the picture. And it became like a holy moment, a thin place, like a place where heaven and earth overlap. And for like an hour and a half, I just honestly stood in awe and wonder of God. And here's what happened. I'm in this small chapel, and God got really big to me. He increased and I decreased. And I began to think through, God, I'm full of doubt. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what's my purpose? Like all this other stuff. And I just began to reflect and meditate and take an audit of Yahweh. And that changed everything. His faithfulness became front veer, and all my anxious circumstances went in the back veer, and they started fading. And I was just caught up. It's like, and it was so paradoxical. And I wrote this, I sent this in notes. I showed it to my wife when we were at dinner. It's like, the room was small. It was a small room, but man, God got big. Because I removed all distractions. It was like just me and this hard wood that I'm sitting on that was cold because there's no heater. And I felt like I began to be reawakened, that I was coming alive because my picture of God was getting bigger and my problems were getting smaller. He increased, I decreased. I felt like my perception of reality got sharpened. I was actually seeing incorrectly. I was allowing my own doubts to fade my vision. And now God was correcting reality, not how I see. And by the end of that time, I honestly, I was like, oh man, God, like I wrote this down. Guess what? If for the rest of my life, if I preach to just 40 people every Sunday morning, which is small, I'm okay with that. I'm gonna be content, like I'm gonna find joy in that because God, that's what you've made me to do. And I'm gonna be full of joy, like that's my purpose. God, you're big. It doesn't matter about anything else, even if it's a small room. I will do it, Lord, I'm your servant. Whatever you want, I'm in. And I was just like full of awe and wonder. I literally was praising God. Like I went outside, there was this cross and this stone where Billy Graham was. I got down on my knees and I was just worshiping. I don't know if anybody saw it, probably thought it was weird or something like that. But I was just in awe and wonder of the creator of the universe. And if he just uses me for 40 people, so be it. That is what Mary was doing. Awe and wonder. How does she respond to the angelic vision? Check this out. Luke 1:38, I saved this for the last. Here's her response to this whole thing. I am the Lord's servant, Mary answered. May your word to me be fulfilled, or as the Message puts, which is a modern translation, I love this. Yes, I see it all now. I am the Lord's maid, ready to serve. Let it be with me just as you say. That was me up on the mountains on Saturday, November 9th. Just a couple of verses later, verses 46 through 47, Mary just breaks out in song. A girl just starts dancing. My soul glorifies the Lord. My spirit rejoices in God, my Savior. See, less distractions can lead to awe and wonder. And when you experience awe and wonder of the Creator, your faith is built up. That is what happens for the character of Mary in the Christmas story. His wonder replaces your wandering. Or perhaps we should say, get ready, when you're full of wonder, you will wander into faith. The invitation for you and me is to respond like Mary in the original Christmas story. Let me ask you, is your soul weary, exhausted, and distracted this time of the year? Instead of hurrying off this Christmas season, the invitation for you is to remove the distractions in your life that are blinding you from the awe and wonder of God, whose presence is right in front of you every day, every time, with every person. Who or what is distracting you from noticing the presence of God in front of your life? Who do you honestly need to mute so that you can be reawakened to the awe and wonder that comes from a personal daily relationship with the Creator of the universe in the simple, ordinary moments of life, even a backwater town like Nazareth? Do you treasure and ponder and wonder and gaze at this baby boy Jesus, Emmanuel, God with us? Are you in awe and wonder at his birth? Do you pause to treasure that reality? I want to give you 2 practical steps. These you can start tonight, tomorrow morning. Do these this month. Here they are. They're really profound. First, instead of grabbing your phone first thing in the morning, start your morning with a simple prayer. Holy Spirit, give me eyes to see the Christmas miracle of your presence all around me today. Be in my thinking, my seeing, my hearing, and don't rush off. Treasure, ponder. I don't have it up there, but I'd almost say to do the exact same thing when you go to bed. Let that be how you begin your day and how you end your day. Secondly, I just came up with this. Take an awe and wonder walk. What if we just did awe and wonder walks? 10 minutes of your day, you go outside, don't stay inside. Go outside, don't record it on your phone and then post it on Instagram so people, oh, what? Awe and wonder walk, who cares? Some of you are gonna have like a friend in the bushes trying to film it too. Just stop that. Stop that. I see some of you guys. Just go on an awe and wonder walk. Let the mind chatter just go out. And why don't you just wander into God? Think about him. Creator of the universe. Born in a stable. Big becomes small. What? And just treasure that. Just ponder that. The reality of Christmas is that God is what? With us. And he's in you. And here's my pastoral confidence. If you remove the distractions in your life and you practice on wonder, and I use the word practice on purpose, you have to practice it. Make it a rhythm. My hunch is your faith will grow stronger. I think hopefully your reaction will be like Mary's in Luke chapter 138. I am the Lord's servant, Mary answered. May your word, God, to me be fulfilled. Or as the message puts, yeah, I see it all now. I'm the Lord's maid, ready to serve. Let it be with me just as you say, God.